While I was home in Amsterdam over the winter, I was filming some videos for the Rep Institute on this Fiat 500 featuring 3M's new 2080 film. So I'm showing some tips and tricks on how to install with it. Those are definitely on the Rep Institute, so check those out. While I was in this garage, I noticed this really cool table, this retro table. So I went to the owner, I said, "What's the story behind this table?" And he says, "Well, we used to have it in our house and we loved it, but the holders for the glass started rusting after a while, and his wife got sick of looking at the rust, and so he said, well, I just brought it to the garage to get it out of the house, but we just kept it, because we like it." And I said, "Well, do you mind? I have some this really cool blue material, and I could actually wrap the glass and make it look brand new." And he says, "Go for it." So I'm prepping it right now. The glass obviously has been sitting in the garage for a while, has a lot of stuff built up on the glass, so I scraped it off with my knife, cleaned one side, flipped it over, and coming back to this one. So the biggest thing is, notice I'm wearing really good gloves. And the reason why I'm wearing nice gloves is I want to make sure they have a nice grip, especially when I go to flip it over. If the edges happen to be, sharp, it's not going to, cut my hand. Very, very important for that. Set it down nice and careful. So as everything is cleaned and prepped, including the frame, it really gets down to choosing the right material. Obviously, you want to choose one that's opaque so you don't see those rusted out fasteners. The calendar or cast material is totally fine. So this gives you options. You can use cut vinyl film, which is obviously budget and cheap. You can also use a digital full print to get a nice good design on top of the glass. You could also use color change film, which is obviously primarily used for vehicles. The biggest thing you have to think about is the frame and the glass have a really high surface energy. So if you use budget material, it generally has a high tack adhesive, which means you might have to do a wet install, and it can be really tricky if you do it dry. So in this case, I erred on using premium film, color change film, which has a low initial tack, which makes the prep easy and the install as well. So again, a little more higher price point in terms of material, but the payoff is it's going to make this install super easy because I don't have to put masking tape on the frame. And in this case, just kind of going full cowboy or cowgirl if you're a woman, and I drop it like it's hot right on the frame, just kind of tack it on the outside. Don't create hyper tight glass, but just enough to kind of get the wrinkles smoothed out. Lock it in the middle to kind of create a hinge so it doesn't shift. And now I'm cutting. The biggest thing you want to think about my cutting right now is I'm angling my knife away, super sharp blade. And by angling it away, when it drops onto the glass, I get a little bit of extra material that just covers just past the edge. So I'm not going to come up short. So once I make that cut, essentially as a giant relief cut, then I squeegee it on. The biggest reason I'm doing that is to relax the material on top of the glass, but also to avoid any type of adhesive lines. If I had squeegeed to the edge before cutting and then cut, I would have a giant adhesive line circle around the outside edge by about 2 or 3 centimeters short from the edge. So always just tack it lightly in the middle, make the cut, drop it like it's hot, squeegee it down. And now for this cut, instead of angling my blade away from the edge, notice I'm slightly angling it in. This is going to give me a super flush cut right to the top edge. So I basically do a 180 on either side, easy, straightforward cut. So basically 2 movements with my knife to make the cut, remove the excess film. So once this excess film comes away, it's a really flush cut right to the top of the glass. It's not beveled in this case, it's about a 90-degree drop off. So didn't angle it in too much, but enough that it just cuts nice and flush. Once the excess film is removed, then I just come back in and seal the deal right on the edge. So with the small one done, now we're going to shift to the bottom one. So this one's nice and easy because there's no raised objects around the side. So on this one, I got a raised object on the upper portion there on the right side. And this one's just obviously slightly bigger, but I want to keep this as close to real time as possible so you can see the technique. So again, drop off the entire liner, tack it on one side of the frame, and then just creating the glass. So just reading the wrinkles, again, not pulling super hard. Don't want to make it too tight. I want to just make it nice and relaxed. Once I feel it's glassy enough, tack it on the outside frame right there. Once everything's tacked, then squeegee it right in the middle. Can't cut before I do just that, but again, not going too deep to keep the pressure on the adhesive to a minimum so I avoid that adhesive line. Super sharp blade, and now in this case, watch what I do. Instead of doing 2 180 cuts right now, I'm going to start my blade, angle it out, and right when I get to the raised object, I'm going to sneak past it just a kiss, then pick back up on the other side. Notice that my blade is just running alongside the upper frame. And also keep in mind another added benefit of angling the blade away from the glass right now is that this doesn't have to be a perfect straight cut. If I get a little kind of, jag here and there, because I have enough material that's going to cover just past the edge of the glass, I'm going to be fine. So again, just switch body positions right there. Once I make that cut, pull off the excess film, nice, straightforward, and clean. Once the excess film is removed now, it's about the squeegeeing time. I got a giant wrinkle right there at the top, which I just kind of lightly pull out. But notice the squeegee technique right now, and this is really good for working on glass right now, is I tack it to the top in this case, and I'm just reading the wrinkles, and I just kind of feather it out, and I'm basically just going to go in a circle motion. So I'm just making these, 45-degree squeegee strokes, but just kind of shifting those wrinkles to the side, and that lets the material breathe nice and clean right to the edge. And again, what's nice about having that low-tech film now, look how easily it just kind of glides to the edge, doesn't stick on the outside frame, which saves me a huge amount of time in prep. So again, the payoff right now is I'm spending a little bit more on the material using cast film with the low egress initial tack, but the payoff right now is it's making my install super easy and flowy, and that's definitely the name of the game when you're working on high surface energy material like glass and metal. So once everything's down nice and tight, same setup as before on a smaller glass piece. It's just super sharp blade, keeping the blade slightly angled in, get past that raised object, just nice, easy, and straightforward. And then pick up when I feel like I'm cutting at an awkward angle, switch to the other side. So I'm cutting always at a comfortable angle, always cutting towards myself, because in this case I don't want my knife to jump off and cut the frame. And what you have to think about now is you can see that this really cool transformation is happening right now with just 2 pieces of film on an old piece of furniture right now, this glass table. And what was really cool about this install, and this is a true story, is about an hour after I got done wrapping this and went back to filming on the car, the owner's wife came in and she looked at the table. She's like, "Oh my God," to her husband, "that is amazing, so beautiful." And I kind of explained why I did what I did, and she loved the color. And you know what they did? They took it back to their house. So it's something that they had put in the garage and they were sick of. In just a matter of minutes, it transformed into this beautiful satin blue, and now they have it back in their house. So it's a great upsell for people with old furniture, but it's also great to do for new furniture as well. So I hope these tips help you wrap stuff like this better and faster. And for me, it's high profit and very satisfying. Thanks for watching. Justin Pate.